Kirby Smart had a very interesting point about Georgia's fans earlier this week on Atlanta radio. He was talking about how much that the program has won and so forth, and what that'll mean for G Day's attendance. Obviously, Georgia is selling tickets for G Day on Saturday. Here's what he said. He was talking about the attendance. He said, "I think our fans will turn out. I think they'll come out and do the right thing." He said, "When you ask them to go to the playoff and the national championship, you can't stand up and beat a drum. Stand up with a drum and beat it all the time. You have to pick your times." Yeah, he's right. I mean, Kirby, there's Kirby inherited a program that consistently sold out games. A program that had this century basically when he took over. I think there was one game that was not a sellout, which was the Charleston Southern game or the Coastal Carolina game in 2011, if memory serves correct. So Georgia's always had great fans. What has done has elevated it in terms of the travel and even G Day sometimes. He said it felt like an eternity ago. This is all on Atlanta radio. He said it felt like an eternity ago that he wanted 92,000 people at the spring game that day. A lot of people didn't think that would happen. I wasn't so sure that it would happen, but it did. And from that moment forward, he really sort of understood and doubled down on marketing and understood how important it was. The number one marketing tool is winning football games, but it all adds up together. If you can get that many people to a spring game, it shows recruits how important your program is to them and therefore important to the program. And it goes from there. And you get them in the cycle and in the cylinder, excuse me, and you take it from there. But um, I think that Georgia fans have proven over time not only how loyal they are, but how much that you know, how much it matters to them to be there during all this stuff. You have to remember that Ohio State game in Atlanta was one of the most difficult tickets to get, period, in the history of college football. So that comes on the back of the most difficult national championship ticket ever, from what the records I've seen, which was Alabama Georgia in 2017. So Georgia fans have paid the price. Make sure you're not missing out on Dogstruction and Double Dogs. These right here are both signed by the respective covermen. That's Keely Ringo's signature on Dogstruction. We have a limited amount of Stetson Bennett's left. Make sure that you're getting on that. Double Dogs, the link is down below. I'll give you a better look. But, I know well, I've lived in this world for, this will be my 23rd season covering Georgia. And I know what it's like for Georgia fans to spend money. That's how I've made a living, obviously. And I think that you can't, if you're Kirby, there's only so much, there's only so many times that fans can reach into their pocket and go to, I don't even know, New Orleans or wherever. I mean, these fans travel everywhere. Everywhere they go, Georgia, the fans are there. And I'm not talking about the standard 6,000 fans that the SEC has at home for away teams. I'm talking about, 8, 10, 12,000 people. When you go to Neyland, now this year may be a little different. We'll see. But every time that Kirby's played at Neyland, Georgia has had a sizable contingent of fans. I mean, it's noticeable how many people are there. Um, I can't remember which game it was where folks were really thinking that the other team, it was Ohio State. They were thinking that Ohio State would have, similar to the amount of fans as Georgia. No. In Atlanta? No. And there was this discussion. It was in Athens too, and I can't remember who it was. I can't remember, but in Nashville, Georgia has more fans than Vanderbilt. In Atlanta, Georgia has more fans than Tech. In Jacksonville, they have more fans than the Gators now. So it's rare that Georgia doesn't have the majority. It happens. Like at Mississippi State this past year, Georgia's contingent of fans was, I would say, significant. It was loud. It was probably a solid 8 to 10,000 people. Well, when you're a stadium that's only got 60,000 people, 10,000 can be a lot. And there's always a lot of Georgia fans at Carolina, and when they go to Auburn, Auburn is kind of the one place it seems to me where Georgia can't get more people in. It's only 87,000 or whatever it is. They do a good job at Auburn of keeping their tickets in their hands because they're a cult, I would argue. But you know, everywhere else Georgia's been, Tennessee, if there are seats available, they will be there. Now, why does that matter for spring? Well, because I expect that all those tickets will be filled. You know, you're going to have a stadium that's probably not at half capacity, but at not at full capacity at all. And you're going to see, a lot of people there for that game. And when, in 2018, I think it was, when Georgia, I think it was 18 or 17, I can't remember. Nebraska had the most fans in the country. Georgia had the most fans in the league and the second most in the country for a spring game. And a lot of the time since then, there's been work being done or there's COVID. So Georgia, the spring thing was at one time like a really big deal, and it still is. But he's right. You can't, you can't go to mattresses for a spring game when your fans are going to Charlotte. In the last 2 years, Georgia fans have had at least half of the fans in these games in these cities. Obviously, Athens, Atlanta, multiple times, Charlotte, Jacksonville, Nashville, Los Angeles. Where did they? Miami? They did not have half. Um, Kentucky, there's a lot, but not half. That's a lot of traveling. And, you know, the fans aren't flown there by the institution. They're going there on their own travel. So I think it will be a quote full crowd for what is being, for what is available. And that is to say, um, the seats that are made available, I think it's 55,000. I might be wrong. But again, now, morning, y'all, once more, that half of the stadium, the home side, there's no working water over there. So those sections are totally roped off. You can't sit there. I'm sure there will be people, shooing you away. The way I've read it, it goes all the way to the end zones are full, but anything after the end zone in the corner over there, it is it is blank from the edge of the end zones out the corner of the end zones towards the press box and the sky suites. Those seats are not available. So everything over on the other side, including the 600 level, are available. So I would think it'd be 55, maybe 60,000 people that are going to be there. They're going to be able to see quite a show on Saturday. This is a G Day that matters. And that's important, because a lot of G Days have not mattered. I mean, think about last year's G Day. Stetson did not look great. I don't know if y'all remember that or not. He had like 3 picks, whatever. I think he threw like 40 balls. So he was they were not they were it was just a throw fest. And he might not have had 3 picks. I can't remember. He did not look good throwing it though. And that's what this is going to be. This is going to be basically a quarterback throwing competition. Maybe not a quarterback competition because you're going to be taking away some of the stuff that Brock does well. But this will be, who can get the ball out to the guys on the perimeter, who can get it to the tight ends while Brock Bowers will be in there. Who's going to be able to function that way? Because the run game is probably just going to be non-existent. First of all, Georgia doesn't allow the run, generally speaking. So I don't think Georgia is going to run on Georgia. Secondly, uh, the the predicate of this thing is not to run the ball. I mean, that's how guys often people get hurt when things are in the box. So there's going to be less of that. There's going to be more of getting it to the perimeter and playing that sort of ball. But this is not going to be like games in the past. This result is really going to matter. Like not the result, the what happens on the field is gonna matter in a way that's going to be tangible that people can see and will matter for them. So I think it's exciting. I think that y'all know that I've been talking about this for some time. I keep kicking my table here. But I think it's gonna be a fun time. Make sure you're signing up for our newsletter. It's right down below the books. Thanks for watching.